What's up, guys? It's Dean. Welcome to the Better Man podcast. Today, I am joined by Paul Clingan, who has been a friend of mine since 2018 when he started a handle, a company, a business called Down Dog Athletics. I love the way it looks. So I think I forgot how we connected. But, anyways, he has gone on a transformation since then. He's figured out what he really wanted to do and created this amazing brand, which is incredibly popular and super fun. So, we're going to talk about this thing called Trooper Transmission. Which is, from what I can tell, it is a Star Wars based fitness program. So it looks like a ton of fun. Paul, I'm really excited that you're here. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And that was the perfect intro.
Well, I'm really glad because I didn't write anything for that intro. Usually I try to write down intros and I usually butcher them anyways. So like I need to just drop that expectation that I'm going to be good at any sort of intros.
Well, it's funny because you can learn a lot about your branding by how people who haven't been, you know, PR brought up to date on what exactly to say, right? So we were kind of talking about this. We're like, let's say you go on Jimmy Fallon and his team is like, all right, you got to say this about our actor and like, don't say that. And so if you just like look at it at a glance, you'd be like, oh, it's Star Wars and fitness. Or like I could look at yours and be like, oh, it's guys doing yoga. And you're like,
Yeah.
sweet, you got the concept. And so I'm like,
Mhm.
wow, like this is so relaxing
Yeah.
because it's very clearly branded as to like what you're going to get on this page and what I'm about.
Yeah, totally. And I also find that I have a lot of conversations with people who are like I had a conversation with a friend of mine who's thinking about starting a business, and if I can't understand the concept clearly, like if you can't explain it to me, I'm kind of doubtful that it's going to take off. Like
Yeah.
I just if you can't explain to me what it is in like 30 seconds, I'm just like I don't get it. But also like I won't claim to be like a successful all around entrepreneur. Like I've figured out how to do it with what I'm doing with Manful Yoga, and that took like 8 years to be anything remotely successful. But yeah, like
It's a good
simple is good.
it's
Having
a
clarity,
great
like
litmus test because I've had ideas and my wife will be like, "What is this?" But I didn't know I had something that was cool. I just thought it was cool regardless of what other people
mhm,
thought. But my one of my friends' moms was like, "Hey, your stuff's really cool. I get it. Your other stuff I didn't get, but this I get." And I was like, "Sweet. You're 60, no idea what Star Wars is, and you get it."
dude, I love it when I love it when your mom or your parents can or like older people can look at it and say like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
And then it's like validation. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
perfect. Thank you. Um, so let's talk about 2018 Down Dog Athletics. Or when did you start? Or when did you start kind of getting full time into working in fitness? And
Yeah.
what did
So
that look like?
2017, I was working at Amazon. I did a 5-year stint in the advertising world, corporate stuff, and I got into yoga with a buddy in 2017, 2018, and then just went on this whole mindfulness journey, started meditating, started realizing that I probably don't want to play 30 hours of video games and black out 3 nights a week. And I was just like sitting in a yoga class, looking at myself in the
Wait,
mirror.
wait. Were you blackout while playing video games?
Probably.
Oh my gosh! Like I can't imagine having the coordination to do that.
Yeah, no, it probably was more just like I'd play video, like wake up, play video games on a Saturday, and then go out, and then Sunday spend it eating pizza and just the stuff you do when you don't have a
I mean,
purpose.
yeah, that's like the early 20s stuff,
Yeah, but I was just like sitting in this yoga class, and I was just like, man, I don't want this for my life, and so then just went on this whole, all right, I'm an athlete and I do yoga, and that was kind of like the first example and like, hey, let's take two things that
Mhm.
don't really go together, mesh them together so people then kind of turn their head and they're like, oh, interesting, I get it.
Yeah.
It's like contrarian to what you normally think. And so for like 2 years, I basically did like personal training, taught yoga in Seattle,
Mhm.
became a Lululemon ambassador, and it was all about like, hey, you need to have the light and the dark side, and yoga's the light side, and you need to also like do the fitness stuff so that you've got like your dark side. So you're like, rah, I'm an athlete. And then I was like,
Okay.
prayer hands, I'm
What
yogi,
was your sport?
baseball.
Okay.
I was a catcher.
All right. So you've got a great squat.
Exactly.
Like
Everyone's
your
always like,
ankle, like your ankle mobility is like amazing, I bet.
yeah. And everyone's like, how are your knees? And I'll be like, fantastic. Because from 15 to now, I've gone ass to grass like 3 hours a day.
Yeah, it's amazing. I remember meeting, or no, there's a guy who I work with, that Central athlete who's the lifting guy there, one of the lifting guys there, and his knees go like, I don't know, like 6 inches, 7 inches past his toes with his heels on the ground,
Wow.
just like nuts. I'm just like, where is that coming from? And then I try to do it, and I'm like, oh, we have different bodies.
Yeah, exactly. My femur's not as long as yours.
Yeah. So cool. So down dog, that actually sounds a lot like what I did when I was, from like 2013 to I would say 2017, until my members area really took off. I would say that's what I was doing. I was like, same thing. I was like doing personal training. I was trying to find, um, and I was like throwing all that back into like trying to build an online business.
Yeah.
Um, so and then you kind of pivoted, or like
Yeah.
what was like what was your experience with trying to teach, what was your experience with like trying to grow Down Dog Athletics? Because it's an awesome name, like it's a fantastic brand. You know I feel like it could have, I don't know.
Yeah. So I think what ended up happening was like I had the Dunning-Kruger effect where I was like, I don't know anything about health and fitness. And I came in being like, this is the best way. And I know everything.
Mm,
And the more I learned, I was like, wait, like this isn't the best way. And so I think I almost kind of like gaslit myself into not being as confident as I was about just being polarizing. And I
hmm
tried to kind of just like melt into like, oh, well, we could like do nutrition and yoga and fitness and mindset. And then all of a sudden I was just like everything to everyone and nothing well and nothing specific.
mm,
And so then I just kind of was like, all right, I've fallen out of love with this polarizing perspective of like, I'm going to be the yoga guy. And I also got tired of having to always position myself as like, I do yoga every day, because there came a time where I was just like, I don't want to do yoga anymore. And I got
totally,
into running. And then I
totally.
was like, what am I going to be? Like marathon yoga guy and like nutrition yoga. It just got to the point to where like I learned more and wanted to try different things in the fitness space. And I was like, I don't want to pigeonhole myself into always being like the athlete who does yoga,
hmm
if that makes sense.
Yeah. First off, I want to say, like, I totally resonate with the not wanting to do yoga every day, because, like, I think I just go through periods. Sometimes I don't do yoga every day. And, like, I talk with other people in the Manful Yoga community, our members, people who are, like, really, there's this one guy, his name is Joe Bernier. He's an animal. He's 50 years old. He, maybe 51 now, but he was turning 50. He had, back problems, like just stiff office worker, and he decided, like, okay, I'm going to fix this. And he started doing Manful Yoga. And then he started weightlifting, whether that was like advice from me or like just from, he wanted to do weightlifting, doesn't matter. But he started doing weightlifting and combining it with Manful Yoga. And now he's jacked. He's incredibly flexible. He's more flexible than me. I'm not even going to he says, you know, sometimes he'll post things and then I'll be like, wow, it's amazing. He's like, not as good as you. I'm like, no, you're better than me, dude.
Yeah.
I'm totally fine with admitting it. And he's super strong. And I made this podcast recently, and I said, like, sometimes I don't want to do yoga every day. And he was like, I'm really glad you said that, because I don't feel like doing yoga every day right now, and I feel guilty about it. So, like, people feel guilty when they have to, people feel guilty when they have this image that they're trying to put out, and they have to stick with it. And it's really tough for, people like you in that situation, because you feel like you have to maintain a certain image, and it causes, at least for me, I think it also, my personal experience with that is that it causes a lot of, it causes a lot of stress that you're not aware of, because you're putting off this one image of yourself to the world, and really you're kind of like you're hiding yourself, and you don't realize how much of a toll that takes on you. Like,
Yeah.
I'm curious for you, what was your experience with that?
I think that's a really good way to put it because it kind of reminds me of maybe you find like a high school sweetheart and you're like all about it. And then you're like, wait, I'm growing and we're
Mhm,
not growing in the same direction, or it just like isn't what I thought it would be 5 years later. And so I think that's kind of what happened where I had all this stress to like keep going down. Like, imagine being an entrepreneur and be like, this is the first business I'm going to start. I know nothing and I'm going
mhm,
to get it right the first time and I'm going to stick with it. Like, any entrepreneur's got a graveyard of bad ideas.
mhm,
And it was really stressful feeling like I had to make this work, realizing how much I didn't know. And the more I knew, the more I was like, wait, this might not be how I want to live the next 20 years.
mhm,
And like my wife and I did yoga yesterday. We'll do yoga today. And like I've come back to it a little bit and I
mhm.
enjoy it thoroughly. But like I was the crow pose to handstand, trying to do crazy stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And I think I just, well, I remember one thing happened. 2019, I got rear-ended by a trolley, and I was like, "Wait,
Oh.
like, I can't do what I used to be able to do."
Mm,
Like, in a span of 3 years, I think I had 2 concussions, 1 from surfing, um, 1 from something else, and then I got hit by the trolley, and, like, my entire back was so weird, and, like,
mm.
a down dog was painful.
Yeah. Yeah, that's also like uh it's a really unfortunate situation when you're a yoga professional and you're like, I can't do that right now because, you know, because my back hurts." And people are like, "What? But you're a yoga instructor. You should be able to do that." And I don't know about you, but like when I was really doing like lots of handstands and crow pose and stuff, my shoulders were killing me.
Yeah.
Like, my shoulders killed me. Also, I was, like, trying to do I did scorpion a lot. Scorpion
Mhm.
pose is like, so if you don't know what a scorpion is, I know you know what that is, but if you don't know what scorpion is, go, like, just Google a photo of, like, scorpion pose, and it's this really, you know, potentially strenuous backbend handstand thing, and I would do it just for the photo, and I would, like, I'd kinda just grit my teeth and get through it, but a combination of the handstands and that, and my back hurt, my shoulders were trash. Like, I remember I had to stop at one point. I had to stop doing planks at one point.
Wow.
Like, I couldn't even do a plank. Not because it hurt doing the plank, but because afterwards my shoulders would just be. And so I started, realizing, oh, I have to do pulling exercises. I need to do resistance training. I need to do things that yoga is not. And I talk about this all the time, but yoga is not like it can be branded and it can be perceived as like the panacea of fitness. Like, it's like,
Mhm.
oh, it's body weight, it's natural, it's this ancient practice. And really, like, no, it's not a balanced workout. You're only doing pushing exercises,
Yeah.
and there are certain ways of doing the poses where you're not getting benefits, like ankle mobility is one thing that I've noticed is totally lacking in yoga. Like, a lot of the poses encourage you to keep your knees behind your toes, and if
Mhm.
you want to have strong ankles, your knees need to go past your toes.
Right.
So a lot of like what I try to do, and I don't know, but what's your experience with this?
Yeah,
Tell me about
that's a
that.
great that's I think you hit the nail on the head, and it was like, I didn't wanna have to be in what I saw as dogmatic to where I will all the time in yoga class, they'll tell me to do a pose, and I will do what I want to do.
I love
Because,
that.
like, yeah, sure, you're supposed to have, like, this perfect form for a side angle or a reverse triangle or whatever, but it's like, that doesn't feel good on my knee, so I'm not
Have
gonna
you
do that.
have you been to a Bikram class and got yelled at by the instructor
So
for?
I haven't because I know what that's like, that's what I mean, like, I was, like, reading books and, like, I'm like, "Wait, like, this is, like" I forget how many poses, but, like, the same poses every single time, and this is, like, so dogmatic where this is almost like this religious cult, and I was like, "I wanna just be able to do something that feels good for me," and now I almost take pride in it, like, if I want a shavasana for the last 20 minutes, I just lay down. And my wife's always like, "Why don't you like do this stuff anymore?" And I'm like, "Because I don't need to do Birds of Paradise to make the instructor feel cool." Because that's another thing I realized is all of these poses I was trying to get, either like students to do or when I was in class, like it's just this big ego stroke of
Mhm.
the instructor will come in and be like, and if a one-handed or a one-handed handstand is in your practice, go into it now. It's like it's not. And
Yeah.
no one in this room has the shoulders to even do a handstand.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And that was like something for me that was like so striking in the yoga world was like this preaching of non-ego when really everything was like ego driven.
Yeah.
Like it was like, "Oh, I'm so non-egotistic. I'm so much more non-egotistic than you are." Like,
Yeah,
that
and their aloe yoga booty shorts.
right, like that's somewhat contradictory. Um yeah, I mean, yeah, in a lot of ways, I try to think of Manful Yoga as like the anti-yoga brand.
And I
Um,
love how you respond to, like, comment like, I've watched everything you do or, like, since finding your stuff and just how you respond to people where they're like, "That's not yoga," or someone who's like, "Why isn't it woman flow yoga?" And you're just like, "'Cause it's not.
'Cause
Leave me
it's
alone."
not. I know, yeah. Like I've had to. I used to get so worked up about social media comments, dude. I
Yeah.
would like walk around for like 3 hours at the end of the day, just pissed about something that one person said, and it took a while for me to realize, like, oh, this is like really damaging my personal life, and so yeah, I don't do my social media anymore. Like I don't even do stories myself. I take
Wow.
videos on my phone and I send it to our customer service manager also does our social media. So I take videos on my phone and I send it to him. I even have trouble posting things now.
Yeah.
Like I tried to get on the platform and post something. I was like, why can't I post something?
What's a trending audio?
I feel like a baby boomer right now. Like I can't, like I'm having a lot of difficulty with this. And yeah, because it was just so stressful for me. Like I think I'm a little bit more detached from the comments now. Like I look at it and I don't have to. Now I'm like, oh, that's just something that one person says, and I don't have to convince everybody that I encounter that they have to be on my side.
Yeah.
But like, it took a really long time to be able to like detach from that.
Yeah, dude, I envy the ability to post on any page and not have to be in it. There's
Yeah.
a plugin that I'll use called Newsfeed Eradicator that
Yes.
it blocks, yeah, the feed in on desktop.
I need
So
to do
I'll
that.
go in phases where I like delete on mobile and just only produce,
Mhm.
and like my mental health will be the best. But I notice this, and I'm starting to really be careful with it because if a video goes viral, that's when you get like the worst comments. And so I'll be like
Mm.
in the comment section, like having these mental wars, and then I'll put my phone down, and my wife's like, "Hey, did you do the dishes?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't do it." And I'm like,
Yeah,
"Oh
yeah.
shoot, I'm just
Yeah.
mad at Charlie 4287."
Yeah, it's tough because like you don't want to bring it up because then you're like, oh, I'm so stupid because I'm letting this comment affect me. But if you don't bring it up, then you bring that angst into your personal life, and
Yeah,
it's like it's one thing to do it with just your wife, obviously not a good thing, but it's another thing to bring that when you have kids, because then you're like, then it's like I think it's way worse.
yeah,
And by the way, you just had some. Am I allowed to say this?
um,
This will go out in like 3 months from now. So
yeah,
hey,
yeah, yeah. So that's
so
fine.
yeah, I'm gonna email. I'm gonna send this to all your friends and family like next week, and just
I
like
hope so. Congratulate! Like this is our launch party. We
yeah,
we
this is
got we reached out to some podcasts to release the news for us.
yeah, exactly. We're gonna send you send you a link. Yeah. So, anyways, so that's cool. How
Yeah,
you feeling? How are you feeling?
I I'm I'm excited. She's the one that really wants kids.
Hmm.
And maybe I'll probably change my tune once I have kids, but I'm like, "Oh, yeah, like, I could," because I honestly love like, I love what I do,
Mm-hmm.
So like for me, like I can just do that all day and like occasionally come up for air. And so,
Mm-hmm.
like, to, like, then have something that's like, "Hey, this is now, like, your purpose." I'm like there's, like, a part of my mind that's like, "Leave me alone." But once it happens, I know I'll be so excited because we have 2 cats, Luke and Leia, very on brand,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm obsessed with them. And I know as soon as I have a kid, I'll be, like, obsessed with them.
Yeah.
And, I'm also just, like I'm so excited for my wife, her side of the family, my side of the family, like, it's just, like, will be a big deal to so many people,
Yeah.
and I'll grow into being stoked as well.
Yeah. For me, I just didn't realize what was. I didn't appreciate it until it happened. And I was like, oh my God, there's a baby
Yeah, exactly. It
here.
just my focus is so on just like what I'm doing
Yeah.
that it needs to like be in front of me, and then I'll be like, "Whoa, my focus is totally different."
Hmm.
Um, which like is great. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's like it's different when it's not your body. I imagine like for women, they're like looking at these blood tests and ovulation cycles, and it's like, wow, I have like one job, and then
Hmm.
the baby comes, and I have 1,000 jobs.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad I don't have to give birth. It's a pretty cool deal that I got.
Yeah. How old's yours?
Declan is 3 and Maylee is 6 months.
Wow.
Hmm. Yeah.
What'd
So
they do for Halloween?
we dressed up very quickly as the Adams family.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you watch Wednesday? Isn't that what that show is? I don't know if
Marissa, my wife did. My wife watched that show. I think
okay.
she liked it. It looked good. Um, I try to. I know that if I watch a show, I will watch all of it. So
Mhm.
like, I don't watch a single episode because I'm like, I'm gonna need to watch the whole thing, and then no one's like forcing me to be at work. So like, if I watch a show and I like it, I'm like, I'll just like excuse myself from work for the next 3 days.
Yeah.
So I just don't do it anymore because I know what'll happen.
There was a video game that came out called Starfield in
Okay.
September, and I didn't have an Xbox.
Mm.
Like an Xbox Series. I had like the old Xbox One, didn't play it. It was up in like a closet somewhere. And then my brothers were like, dude, you got to get this game. And I knew that I would like the game, and I'd probably watch like 30 hours of YouTube videos on the game.
Oh my
And so I
gosh.
got it. And I want to say in 2 weeks, I put like 50 hours into it.
Okay.
And that Xbox is all the cords disconnected, like hid
Yep.
across the house like an Easter egg. We've,
Yep.
we've put it away.
Yeah. So did you so I love that because that's like, people struggle with trying to break habits and they don't realize like they don't think of like let me do something that's weird but works.
Yeah.
And something that's weird but works is you can unplug that shit. You can unplug it. Like you could even put your TV in a closet if you wanted to.
Oh, yeah.
Like
I
you make it really inconvenient and weird and prevent yourself from doing it.
I'm all for doing that, whether it's deleting social media apps, and people will be like,
Huge
"Oh, it's
fan of
extreme." I'm like, like I always talk about this with clients who are talking nutrition, but if you're like addicted to something, let's say you're addicted to heroin, you
that. Hmm.
stop doing heroin.
Hmm.
You don't just like have a hit every week, because how are you ever supposed to break the cycle? And
Hmm.
so then what's so hard with like food or TV or something like that is like food for specific, like you have to have food. So someone will be like, "Oh, could I have like a beer a day or like a soda a day?" And I'm like, if you ever want to like reorient your relationship with it, absolutely not. Like you got to
Hmm.
have moments of like pulling it out so you can resensitize yourself to it and then come back to it with balance. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I'll hide stuff in the closet. I'll put a bunch of like things on top of it, like whatever I got to do to just make it 7, 8, 9 steps. And hopefully by like step 4, my conscious prefrontal cortex comes online and is like, dude, you actually don't want to do this.
Hmm.
Slow down.
Yeah, that's exactly the point. Like you're not making it so impossible that if you really needed to do something like that, like if you really needed to, like let's say like there's a game that you want to watch, like and your wife wants to watch it, and you're like, well, you still want to be able to use the TV sometimes. So like you don't want to
Totally.
make it like you don't want to have to like dig it out of the backyard, like dig a hole and like, oh, the cord's and I gotta dig a hole. But like you do want to make things, you want to put barriers to entry, so to speak, so to speak. I keep on saying so to speak, so to speak, so that you have enough time to ask yourself, is this really what I want to do? So you're not doing it to like totally prevent yourself. You're doing it so that you have enough time to say, is this what I want to do?
Mm-hmm.
And usually for most people, you realize the other part of that is that I realize we like doing things like that because they're so easy to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're so easy to do. And if you make them a little bit harder to do, your mind is like, that's too much. I
Yep.
don't want to do that. Like if you had to do 20 push-ups to turn your TV on, you probably wouldn't do it. Like if your TV had like a built-in function that it didn't go on unless you did 20 push-ups, you did like 5 minutes of exercise, you wouldn't turn it on unless
Yeah.
you really, really wanted to.
Dude, that's so true. What's also funny though is, let's say I really wanted to play Xbox and the Wi-Fi wasn't working, I would troubleshoot that for like 3 hours. But then if my wife's like, "Hey, Prime Video's not working. I want to watch the Kardashians." I'd be like, password doesn't work. I don't know why.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're gonna have different standards for all those things.
Yeah, totally.
Um, all right, so I want to talk about like how'd you move from down dog athletics to eventually, getting into. Did you do other things between this and Trooper transmission?
Yeah, made this like E4 Fit method that was fitness, nutrition, all of these different things, and it was supposed to all come together. And it
Okay.
was probably the worst brand on planet Earth.
Mm.
And the name was Elemental Coaching Project. And I got hacked maybe like 2 months ago or 2 years ago on that email. And I've never been happier to be like, all right, we are throwing that away. I just created all new email, all new YouTube channel, like everything.
Mm.
And I was like, that was meant to be hacked.
Mm.
Um, but it did teach me, just all of it taught me lessons. Anyway, so now it's the Trooper transmission, and people that I work with join Fit Nerd Academy because there's a fear of mine where I'm like, at what point is like Bob Iger going to come on my door and be like, stop doing that? I think I'm nowhere near the threshold, so I'm totally fine. Um,
Wait,
but
talk about Nerd Fit Academy.
Fit Nerd Academy.
Fit
So it's
Nerd
just
Academy. Yeah.
essentially like all the stuff I do on YouTube, all the stuff I do on Instagram,
Yeah.
Facebook group, like it's all free. And then if someone wants to work closely with me, I take them through this like gamified academy where they start out as cadets. So
Yeah.
I send them like a shirt, and then halfway through they get this little badge and become a
Oh my
trooper.
God, dude,
And then
that's awesome.
I just set this up with a guy. He's an armor builder, and they're in the cosplay community for Star Wars. There's something called the 501st Legion, which is like everyone has then screen accurate, like the best costumes. Like if you go to a sporting event or you see them at hospitals, they send these people as like charity work.
Hmm.
So anyway, I got a guy who's in it, and he's going to make personalized clone trooper helmets like this one behind me as like the prize for going through the academy and finishing the program that people can buy, kind of like their graduation gift. And
Hmm.
so it's just this like, think of it as like there's the free version and then there's the paid version, and the paid version is just sick.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. That's really fun. So like, all right. So, and what do you? Yeah, I saw some. I remember seeing something like a week ago on this, and you put out like I forgot what it was, but you use like really fun terms. Like you use like I don't know, a smoothie like a Sith or like
Oh
Sith
yeah.
like
So I this is probably my favorite thing about being a prequel kid. And
Mhm.
that's like, do you know like the prequels and then the original trilogy?
Yeah. So the
So
prequels are like, wait, we're talking like episode. Are we talking
one,
before
one, two,
episode
three.
one? Okay, yeah.
No, episode 1, 2, 3. So the ones you would have seen in like the early, like 1999, early 2000s. So
Yes.
like that era, that was my era. And now those kids are all getting, to be 30 years old.
Hmm.
And there's just so many memes and so many like one-liners that if you go in any like Star Wars community, it's almost like a completely different language. So I come up with these challenges where I'm like, all right, we're going to do the Kessel Walk challenge, which is like something that Han Solo did. He did so the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs. So I'm like, all right, instead, we're going to do the Kessel Walk. So for 12 days in a row, we're going to do 12,000 steps. And then
Okay.
people are like, yeah, let's do it. Like for Han Solo. And so then I did another challenge. I was like, all right, Senator Pal Protein wants you to get your protein in. So for 30 days, we're going to have a protein smoothie. And these are Way the Force Be With You protein smoothies. And so
Mhm.
I just like rip out like basically like meme one liner dad joke puns as
Yeah.
little challenges for the community. And they go ham.
And so the community, this is free?
Yeah, I mean, they can do like I'll post like here's what the smoothies are, and I use that
Yeah.
as a way like share it on your story and tag me. But
Yeah.
then the people who I'll work with, I'm like, all right, like we're doing this challenge, winners get prizes or whatnot, and so it's like this little micro game inside of the
Okay.
bigger academy.
Okay, so you have your bigger academy, and those are people that you work, like, more closely with, like,
Yeah,
one-on-one?
yeah,
Oh, man. Dude, get those people in like a community.
I know. That's
They
like
can't they can't they can't be free. That's worth more that you're worth more than that, man.
yeah. So we'll have a sideline chat on that. But
Yeah.
I mean, is the I think the interesting thing is like seeing all the stuff you do on YouTube. I don't know if you follow Alex Hermosi, but
Yeah,
the
yeah. I've
whole
got a couple of
concept
his
was just
books.
like make something that is like so good and then give it away for free and
Mhm.
like build as much goodwill as possible so that they're then like, how can I pay you?
Mm.
And so like this started May the 4th. Like May the 4th be with you. I did my first 30-day challenge on YouTube. And so it's all very new. And I've just been like, my mind's been like, all right, just dump goodwill into these people
Mhm.
and then start to create, products and offerings.
Yeah.
Um,
Totally. That resonates with me. Like, that's literally what my strategy with Manful Yoga was when I started in 2013. I didn't offer a single thing like Shabai probably until like 20, I don't know, 2016, 2017.
yeah,
Like, everything was free. So,
yeah.
like, it totally makes sense. And we still have our free YouTube channel. We have free challenges. We've got, like, tons of free content. So, like, totally makes sense.
But yeah, so we'll do what you saw was the Senator Pal protein smoothie challenge. And um, really like the whole essence of everything is I don't know if there's a book called The Alter Ego Effect. And so the whole idea of the channel is the trooper transmission is I'm the trooper and
Yeah.
I'm, on my microphone transmitting messages of like working out and positivity to the army.
Do you do
And
that?
so
Do you have like a voice modulator and like you record audio videos and send them out?
on the YouTube videos, I'll do intros where I put the helmet on, and then in post, you can edit the audio to sound like it's going through like it would sound like it's in a helmet. So you do like voice effect and all this. So I'll put on the helmet. I'll be like, all right, like I've got a mission for you. General Kenobi needs help on the front lines, but like in order to make sure that you're fit enough to go and like work with the best of the best, you need to do this push-up challenge. And so then people will go through and do like a 15-minute workout, push-ups, and then at the end I'll be like, congratulations, like you just completed it. Like go out there and make the Republic proud.
That's awesome. That's so much fun. And I love that you're doing challenges because, like, challenges are just in my experience, both personally and also with other people and programs that I build, people love following challenges because they know that there are other people doing them. There's
Hmm.
community around them that gives more motivation, that gives more inspiration. They also like that it's a finite amount of time.
Yeah.
So when you're in like week 1 and it's really hard, you're like, wow, this is really hard. I don't know if I can keep this up. But knowing that there's an end line in sight, right? Knowing that like, oh, I only need to do 3 weeks of this, or like I only need to do 4 weeks of this, then it makes it a lot more doable. So I'd
Yep.
love to hear about like what's your experience with challenges, both like yourself and also within your community.
Yeah, I was just talking about this because the free Facebook group was like, I know you always talk about this, but like, how do you work on motivation? And I was like, one, you got to have clarity. So many of you guys want to like
Mhm.
get a better routine. And I'm like, well, why? And you have no idea. And so I'm
Yes.
like, instead, it should be like, I want to wake up at 6 a.m. so I can work out at 6:30 so I can get my pull up stronger so that by December 31st, I can do 2 pull ups. I'm like,
Hmm.
then you'll be motivated because you have a North Star to go towards. But
Right.
no one's motivated to just like walk aimlessly in the desert, which is what everyone's doing. So the
Yeah.
challenge basically just gives you like, for lack of a better term, like a horse track where it's like,
Hmm.
run this track 3 times and you will win the race.
Hmm. Yeah. And clarity is so important. That's like a theme that's a theme that has emerged on this podcast. Um, Probably one of the top 3 themes that has emerged on this podcast is this: the more clarity you have around something, the easier it is to do something. And clarity, not just in the sense that, like, really, really clear,
Hmm.
going deeper than, like, I want to be able to do pull-ups. Why do you want to be able to do 2 pull-ups?
Yeah.
Because I want to be strong. Why do you want to be strong? I want to be strong because I think I'll look cool. Why do you want to look cool? Because I want more people to like me. Like, why do you want more people to like you? Because it will make me feel good. And like, why do you think that'll make you feel? You keep going deeper and deeper
Yeah.
until you get to like the real answer. And it's so cool. It's such a cool process. I love doing it with people because the deeper you go, the more they're like hesitant because they're like, it's like, it's right here. It
Yeah.
hurts. It hurts my heart. I'm so vulnerable right now. And it's like, but that's what you need. Like, that's the clarity that you need in order to have, this sense of motivation that will remind you to do things when it gets tough.
Yeah.
If it's just this general, oh, I just want to be more fit. Like, that's not good enough. You got to really go deeper.
Yeah. Totally. And to that point, you're going to have tension when you have like what you really want and it's like clearly articulated what you really want and what you don't want. So like a really good example is I had someone who's like, dude, I just took a picture next to my niece. And last year I took a picture next to my niece and I was so embarrassed with how I looked. And now this picture is way better. And I'm
Hmm.
like, that's the specificity in clarity that if someone can just admit to themselves that they want to be able to do a pull up because they couldn't at age 7 and they got bullied for 3 years and it
Hmm.
would, like, have them feel that they overcame all those years of trauma. It's like, wow, that's a compelling reason to get out of
Right.
bed.
Yeah. I I totally agree with that. So, I'll talk more about trooper transmission challenges. So, like, what are some of the challenges that you guys do?
Yeah, so it's and you know this, it's a lot of work
It is.
to make stuff. I remember you made a post the other day where you're like, "I crossed," I think it was like 1,000 videos or 4,000 videos or something.
Mm,
And I was like, wow, like that's a lot of work. And if I've learned anything about YouTube is just like make 1,000 videos and look up. And rather than trying to have a video go viral and
mhm.
having like the perfect video, it's like you get better by doing. So
Yes.
my whole approach has been like, I'm going to get helmets of all the different characters from Star Wars, and I'll do 30 challenges in every character. And then it'll eventually be big enough to where it's like you can kind of like choose like do you want to do the beginner, intermediate, advanced of the troopers. So there's like a cadet trooper challenge, a 501st trooper challenge, and an arc trooper challenge. So beginner, intermediate, advanced. So people now can start as a cadet, do body weight exercises for 10 to 15 minutes and work all the way up to arc trooper, which is like weighted vest, kettlebell, 30 minutes of like just beasting.
Mhm.
And so now I'm working on a Mandalorian series, which is like Mandalorian, Boba Fett, Jango Fett. You'll be able
Mhm.
to go through and do that. And then next year I'll work on the Empire. So I'll have like a stormtrooper, a death trooper, a freaking snow trooper. You can rank up. And so the whole idea is like from video games, you would choose your character and rank up within a faction. So it's like,
Right.
hey, you want to rank up within X, Y, and Z? Choose this challenge. Um, and you have all the I did a Jedi one, which wasn't as fun.
Mhm.
I could probably got to redo it, but I was doing like yoga and sword combat and just body weight squats in the
Yeah.
Anakin Skywalker cosplay. Um, but like truthfully, it's just like I just enjoy it. I like put the helmet on and I'm like, all right, like I'm X, Y, and Z, and I'm working out for the Republic, and other people just happen to like it.
Mhm. So, like, like, I'm really curious. Like, so are people that are successful with this kind of gamified version of fitness, are they more successful with this than they are with previous attempts at fitness?
Yeah, I get messages all the time where it's like, I haven't been able to work out for 7 years, and this was the one thing that gave me hope, and I'm now 15 pounds down, and I've got way more confidence about myself.
Yeah.
And I it's only 6 months old, so I'm sure there will be more things
It's
that
only
like,
6 months old?
yeah,
Dude,
and
that's
so
awesome.
there'll be like with fitness, like it takes time to cook. Like you got to leave it in the oven for the changes to happen.
Mhm.
But I'm optimistic that people will learn that if they tap into an alter ego, and this is something that I got from this book, that they'll realize there's a version inside of them that is capable and that's a hero. And all of these helmets that I put on is just me trying to connect with people who like they identify with Boba Fett. They identify with Darth Vader. I don't know why you'd identify with Darth Vader, but maybe you lost your wife tragically. And so it's just like, inside of you is this power, and if you tap into that, you can do amazing things. And I've always had like this fascination with the hero's journey, which is
Mhm.
just what so many movies, Star Wars especially, is about. And so the
Are you
whole idea is like you're gonna kick and scream initially, being like, I can't work out. And it's just like Luke saying, I can't go fight the Empire. And then I'm Obi-Wan being like, you can come with me or not. And then eventually you're gonna hit a turning point and realize, wow, I have no choice but to go down this path. And the hero's journey is just basically getting kicked in the nuts for months and years, getting back up, and then finally beating that challenge that you had. And like that's what I want people to feel and experience as they go through this.
Mm. So the book that you mentioned, are you talking about Joseph Campbell, Hero's Journey, or are you talking about a different book?
So the book that was the catalyst, kind of like aha for me, was called The Alter Ego Effect by Todd Herman. And it
Mm.
spoke specifically to a study in it called the Batman effect, where they would tell kids, you are Dean, you are Batman, and then just refer to yourself as the second person, like I am
Mm.
doing whatever. And the kids who were told that they were Batman would stay at these different tasks longer, and they'd be like shouting as they pounded on this box, like, Batman doesn't give up. And I read this at like a really tough time that I was going through. Like I was doing I was taking Adderall for my ADHD. It was 2021. Pandemic was like,
Mm.
I don't know, in full swing.
Yeah.
And I would have these like really high highs and then just crash. Super
Mm.
depressed, super dull and gray. And I read this book the same week that my psychiatrist was like, "Oh, you sound like you're depressed. Like, let's get you on depression medication." And for whatever reason, I was like, "Give me one more week. Like, I can figure this out."
Mm.
Which, like, I wouldn't necessarily recommend to people, but essentially, like, I would look at this helmet on my desk and I was like, "Oh, let me like put it on." And I would ask myself, like, what would Captain Rex do? Which is kind of like what those WWJD bracelets were, if you remember those from the 90s.
Yes.
So I was like, you know what? Like, I don't feel like working today, but Captain Rex, like, he would probably get it done. Like, I don't feel like working out, but Captain Rex wouldn't lay on the couch. He would go work out and like lead his troops.
Mm.
And I went from like, I'm a POS, I'm not a leader of my household. My wife should just like leave me because I suck, to wow, like I am a leader because
Mm.
that's what Captain Rex would do. And that's literally how the channel was born. And I've just been like chewing on this idea for probably a year. And come May, I was just, or April, I started filming. I was just like, screw it. This has been in my head for a while. It's not going anywhere.
Mhm.
And I didn't tell my wife this, but I went down in my home gym, and for 30 days, I probably shorter than that because I filmed multiple workouts a day. I'd put on the helmet, I'd work out, I would like take it off to intro, be like, all right, troopers, like we're gonna go and work out and do upper body. And I didn't tell her until it was released. And like upon the initial release, I think I got like 2,000 subs in 2 days.
Wow.
And
That's amazing.
Instagram jumped like 10,000. And I was like, babe, you know how I've been like going down to the gym and you're like, why are you so sweaty? Like, this is what I've been doing. And she's like, wait, what?
That's awesome. That's so cool. I don't even know where to begin asking about that. So like I'm really intrigued by this alter ego effect. Um I'm
Well, I
wondering
like,
personally how can I benefit from that? Like what would my alter ego like do you think is the alter ego like do you see that as embracing like a different not a different side of you but like a different like a different you entirely?
I kind of look at it as like method acting.
Okay.
Um, so like, and I would say like your alter ego, you may call it something different, but like you're Dean, but then you're
Mhm.
also Man Flow Yoga, right?
That's
It's
true.
like
Yeah.
your brand, you behave differently on camera than you
Yeah.
might as a dad.
Yeah.
Um,
I
mine
try
just
not to, but it's like it just happened. Like I even when we have meetings or when I write Google Docs, like we take a lot of our notes just on Google Docs. I'll write like Dean or like need an image of Dean here.
yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Because
So
it's
I
like, yeah, it's just like I'm like it's like fitness Dean or like fitness Ken or like I don't know whatever to call it, but like yeah,
yeah.
that's how it feels sometimes.
Yeah, and so with like method acting, I always remember the story of Heath Ledger and how he like method acted um, the Joker and then ended up taking his life because like he couldn't like get out of that persona in a sense.
Mm,
Um, but it really is just like, all right, what would X, Y, and Z do? And so when I'm thinking through this, like I'll put on a different helmet. I'm like, all right, kind of like how would Boba Fett work out differently than a clone trooper? And I'm like, oh, well, he's a little bit bigger, so he might lift a little bit heavier. He might have longer rest periods, and
mm,
he might, be a little bit more gruff in
hmm.
how he talks to people, right?
Yeah.
Just like if you tell an actor, like, all right, Jacob is doctor from Kansas and he played high school football and he's like big and so you're like, okay, cool. Like I'm gonna like what would this Jacob guy do? And so I just think everyone's got their like Peter Parker and everyone's got their Spider-Man.
Hmm.
And so if you can and what the book talked about is like Black Mamba was Kobe Bryant's alter ego.
Right.
Sasha Fierce is what Beyonce becomes when she performs. And I think everyone has it inside of them, but giving it a name and giving it again like this character allows you to very clearly say like all right what attributes does that character have
Hmm.
um and like it is all me but I also use it to kind of leverage like when I was running a marathon in 2020 and I would lay on the couch didn't want to run I'd be like what would a sub 3 hour marathoner do and it
Hmm.
allowed me to create this binary like they would go run as opposed to they would skip their workout. And so if I'm like, this is not something I've experienced, but I'm like, if I were to go to a club in Miami, I'd be like, what would Maximus Decimus Meridius do? Like, how would he act in this situation? Because in the movie, have you seen The Gladiator?
Yes, but like I okay, keep going.
He strikes me as a man of like honor and integrity. And the emperor, his daughter is like, Maximus, like, come back to me. And he's like, no, I got a family at home and like a wife and a kid. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna just throw that away to be with the empress or the emperor's daughter. And so I'll like do these like what would X, Y, and Z do to try and like, social situations. I'll be like, how would Tom Hiddleston act? Like, what would Tom Hiddleston do? Like, for me, he's just the most charismatic dude and always smiley. So I'm like, all right, like, I kind of have some social anxiety, but Tom Hiddleston, he'd probably like smile a lot.
Mm.
And I just jump around and kind of like try and draw upon these different characters.
That sounds really freeing. So like I have a friend who's a dancer and we've been to some of her shows and afterwards they'll have they're small shows, like less than 200 people, less than 200 people in the audience. So after the show, like sometimes you're able to ask questions and you realize you ask them like, hey, so like what are you thinking about as you're going through that, and they talk about it, and then you also realize just how deep they have to go in order to be able to fully express their bodies. And I imagine that it's such a freeing experience because you have to get so in touch with yourself. But I'm curious with you, like when you do these alter egos, like what is the experience to your overall wellness, like your overall mental and emotional health? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I don't notice anything bad because I identify with characters that have traits that I want to have,
Hmm.
right? And that might be an area where like an actor has a harder time if they need to portray a character who is like really unconfident and really depressed, right? When
Hmm.
you look at like the Joker and Heath Ledger. So if it's and what I'd also say to this too is like what you believe about yourself and your identity becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy. So if I'm sitting there being like, oh, it literally comes back to I am statements. I'm a piece of shit. I suck. I'm a terrible husband.
Mhm.
Oh, well, how would a terrible husband act? Oh, you'd probably like ignore his wife and go to the bar, And just that simple I am statement, we do that every single day with beliefs about ourselves. I just find it's easier to articulate and encompass and visualize what you're trying to be when you have a character that's already been displayed for you, right? And
Mhm.
we identify with those characters. That's why they're our favorite movie characters. That's why people loved Star Wars because they're like, I see myself in Luke. So I'll talk to
Mhm.
clients. I'll be like, you're at the moment right now. Like you're Luke Skywalker. You're about to jump off and go on this crazy adventure, or you can stay at home and be a moisture farmer and like live a very boring, terrible life. Like, who do you want to be? And they're like,
Yeah.
oh, that's an
Yeah,
easy
it's
question.
such a cool way of, yeah, like one book, I'm really big into habit formation, like
Hmm.
understanding the science of that. So, Atomic Habits is a
Yeah.
really, really powerful one. I think that might be one of the top 10 most popular books of like, I don't know, for the last 10 years. I'm curious to see how many copies it's actually. Oh, you've
I
got
have
it
it
right back
behind
there.
me, and it's one of my 5 that I'll recommend to clients because it's
Yeah,
just like, make
it's
habits harder, make habits easier.
right. Like literally every paragraph is like, oh, I got to write that down.
Yeah.
It's just it's amazing how much anyways, how much impactful information is in that thing. But one thing that it does do is like, well, okay, if you're trying to have better habits, it helps to go deeper than just saying, oh, I need to do this. Like, I need to do whatever. I need to eat 3 meals a day or whatever you're trying to do. Not that 3 meals a day is even a good thing, but you ask yourself, what would a fit person do? What would a
Mhm.
healthy person do in this situation? And it helps you make better decisions. And to me, it sounds like you're going, you, it, to me, it sounds like attaching a specific character to it makes it even easier because you're creating more clarity
Yeah.
around it. You're like, what would David Goggins do? Or like,
Yeah.
what would, what would Michael Jordan do? What would Black Mamba do? I don't think any of us, aside from Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, could be Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant for their entire lives, but maybe you can resonate with them for 45 minutes or like an
Yeah.
hour, right? So like I think that's a really cool way of looking at motivation in a different way.
And I think too, there's always gonna be a light and a dark side to everything. You can create more anxiety if you were saying, what would David Goggins do, for example,
Hmm.
right? And, like, let's pretend you're a dad with 4 kids and you're working a ton and you're like, "What would David Goggins do?" And he's like, "Oh, David Goggins would not sleep and he would work out and, like, punish himself." And
Hmm.
it's like, is that really like what you need to tap into?
Right.
And so maybe it's like a matter of self-awareness. But I think you can also cause more problems by trying to be someone that you're not, or
Hmm.
someone that actually like isn't a good character to model.
Yeah. Yeah. Like if you woke up and you're like, I'm going to be Darth Vader all day.
Yeah.
Or if you're like, I'm going to be Joffrey from Game of Thrones. That's who I want to be today. Like,
I
okay.
think some kids probably do make that choice, even if it's
Yeah.
subconscious. On
Yeah.
TikTok, they're just a bunch of Joffreys everywhere.
Yeah. I wonder if I had like different characters for different parts of my day. Like I'm gonna be Mr. Rogers when I'm at home.
I
Or
imagine when I'm a dad, I'll be like, all right, you're in dad mode now.
yeah.
Like, choose like a and that could simply be like, what would your dad do? Like, if you had a good father figure,
Mm,
like, what would my dad do in this situation? People ask themselves all the time that
yeah.
type of question.
Yeah. And that requires mindfulness to be able to
Yeah.
do that. It requires you to be able to have the presence of mind, or it requires you to have a minimal amount of stuff going on so that when things come up or things happen, you have the ability to stop what you're doing and ask yourself, how do I want to behave in this situation? Um, so I don't know, that's something that I've been thinking about a lot lately because right now I'm in um, I don't know. I would call it like a period of change in kind of my work and also in my personal life. And it involves a lot of work right now. Like I'm working a lot more than I want to right now. I'm also doing a lot more than I want to right now. And it makes it really hard for me to, at the end of the day, like after I've worked all day, to be able to be the father that I really want to be. And so like I'll lose my temper. Or like last night, my son woke up at like 3 o'clock because um, sometimes kids wake up at night, but he took a late nap. You'll learn all about overtired and what overtired means and
Yeah.
why naps are so important. And soon. Um, but he wakes up at 3 o'clock, and we're like, oh, why is he awake? So I go upstairs. I'm like, hey, what's up? What's going on? Why are you awake? He's mumbling. He's not saying anything. And I start, I'm like, all right, let's go to sleep. We're gonna go to sleep. And then he's like screaming. He's like, he starts crying. All of a sudden, I'm like, no more crying. We're going to sleep. And it's like, okay, well, that's not that's not the father that I wanted to be in that moment. But like, that's
Yeah.
that's where I am right now because I have less patience because
Yeah.
I'm doing too much right now. Um, so
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm sure
I'm
your
gonna.
brain is like, "I gotta go to bed right now. I've got a 6 a.m. meeting and I need to do X, Y, and Z," and that's, this, like, anxiety pending on your brain, and you're just like, "Go to bed so I can go to bed."
I know. Yeah. So now I'm thinking like maybe if I can like, what if I just embrace these before I go into it? I'm like, okay, this is my character. This is my scene.
Yeah.
Um, I think there's a resistance to that because I have this idea that I would like to be the same person. I would like to have consistency in every part of my life. Like I want to show up the same way that I do one thing. I want to show up the same way to everything. Um, but
I
I'll have to
I
read books.
totally get that, and, like, this isn't something that I've obviously spent 30 years chewing on, and I don't have books on this, but I look at it as, like, rather than, like, "This is my personality," like, "This is my personality," and I
Hmm.
can go to different parts in it,
Mm,
and, like, that circle of who I am is actually bigger
yeah,
than I realize,
yeah.
and I'm just, like, tapping into the thing that I need to be able to utilize, like, if you're a basketball player, right?
Hmm.
Like, yeah, you like to shoot a lot, but if you need to tap into the dribble, drive, and dish, like, you can.
Right. So I'm curious for you, you figured out something that really resonates with you. It sounds like you're having a lot of fun while doing it. I mean, most people aren't able to go into their basement and film a bunch of workouts wearing, a helmet for 30 days in a row unless they really enjoy doing it. So I'm curious, like, how has that helped your personal life? Like, how are you showing up to your relationship? How are you doing when you're not working? Just overall, what's that done for you?
Yeah, I'd say I feel, for lack of a better term, just, like, lighter,
Mm,
and it's not like this is just the first thing that comes to mind, apologies if this is a bad reference, but it's not like I'm, like, coming out of the closet and I'm gay,
hmm.
but there is a part of me where I'm like, "Finally, I can just, like,
Hmm.
be a nerd,"
Yeah.
and what I realized before I started filming this is I have, like, Paul Klingan, that's my personal Instagram, it's just me and my wife now and our cats, and I was about to. So, like, I was before I started filming the initial 30-day challenge, I was obsessed with this idea that I was gonna run a sub 3-hour marathon and lift 1,000 pounds in the same week. So
Hmm.
I was going to train like a hybrid athlete, Nick Bear Fitness. I had his
Okay.
workout
Yeah.
plan, and I was going to do a weekly vlog of my training, and that was going to be my YouTube channel.
Hmm.
Because I love YouTube. I'm just like, why have I not been doing YouTube? I'm like, Dean's a genius. I need to be
I
doing
just
YouTube for the
I
next
just put up
1,000 years.
I just put up dick videos about how to make your dick bigger with yoga, and yeah,
And people love it.
people
I was
love it.
watching that video actually a couple days ago, and I was like, wait, this is genius. Like,
It's a popular one.
It's specific. It actually is helpful. The comments were all like, "Wow, this is so helpful." Like, I've been working on my pelvic floor or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like I was gonna do this. Like, I had it like a name for it, and I had everything laid out. And then had someone ask me, or I don't remember what this specific situation was, but the question basically came like, "What would you do if no one knew that you did it?"
What would you do if no one knew that you did it? Okay.
Like, if you didn't get credit, like, if no one knew that you had 400,000 subscribers or no one knew that you could run a sub 3 hour marathon and lift 1,000 pounds? Like, would you still pursue it?
Mhm.
And that question had me being like, damn, like I'm about to go on this stressful as balls journey, working out 2 hours a day for a year just to show off to probably 4 or 5 guys that I am insecure with, that I'm not a loser.
Mhm.
And like I just kind of had that realization that I was doing that for someone else.
Mhm.
And it was in that moment where I was just like, know what? No one is asked ever. Like, oh, you look at the Google search or the YouTube search queries, no one's asking for Star Wars workouts. No one's asking for Clone Trooper workouts to
Right.
be specific. And so I was like, I'm doing this for me.
Yeah,
I think
there's
this would
not a
be
lot of
fun.
SEO competition for that.
No. And like I've had someone I was working with Google or YouTube stuff, and they're like, this is a terrible idea. And I was like, I don't care. Like, this isn't for you. This isn't for anyone. Like, I'm just going to do this because I think this would be cool. I'm
Yeah.
tired of sitting in the gym with my buddies and being like, how would a clone trooper work out if they had a clone trooper workout program? I'm like, let's just make it. This
Yeah.
is what they would do. And so I just made it. And I think a lot of people initially were like, haha, this is novel. This is funny. And then they're like, wait, this guy's put out 150 workout videos in 6 months. Like, what's going on? Like, is this for real? And it's like, like in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to do this for 10 years. I'll do every single character in the Star Wars universe that
Mhm.
has a helmet, and they're all going to have 30-day challenges. And I'll do this until either Disney like tells me to stop or they hire me or I have 3 million YouTube subs.
Yeah, that's awesome. I wonder, like, how cool would that be, though, if, like, Disney contacted you and they're like, here's a 40-page, like, cease and desist letter."
Like I that could happen. The thing that gives me peace,
Dude, there's no way. I
there's
can't
no way,
imagine. No.
because there's so many people on YouTube especially that are
Mhm.
negative and literally just make their money on a monetized channel about tearing down every single movie and show and producer and
Mhm.
whatever. Like, here I am trying to help people around the world change their lives. If they sent me a cease and desist for doing, and like it's all my creative idea. I'm not reposting
Right.
videos.
I mean, if they took down you, they would have to take down, like, "Oh, you looks like you have a fan account. We're gonna have to ask you to take that down." Like, there's
Yeah, they would have to
it's
take
a
down YouTube.
yeah.
And so like I feel fine with that. And like speaking of specificity, I have here, it's like 3 million subs, hired by Lucasfilm, cast in a movie, because there's a part of my brain that's like, if I train everyone in real life, maybe they'll ask me to train the troopers in a show.
Mhm.
And then I want to lead a workout at one of their like Star Wars Celebration Comic Cons, like be on stage and like raise my hand like we're all Spartans and have everyone shout for the Republic.
Oh my
And I'm just like,
gosh.
I'll just do this until that happens. And if it doesn't happen and I do this for 10 years, like I bet good things will still happen.
Hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think that's a good question that we can all ask ourselves. What would you do if nobody knew that you did it? And do you think that you had to be like, did you have to get yourself into a state of mind to be able to ask yourself that question? Or was it something that you just kind of had in the back of your mind for like a long time and
It
eventually
was
you're like, it clicked?
it was a lot of like meditation. And it wasn't like
Mm.
months of 2 hour meditations. It was
Hmm.
like 7 days of me being super stressed about which YouTube channel I should make.
Hmm.
It's like, should I do this like ego led athlete, look how great I am channel? Or should I do this thing that like no one's asking for?
Hmm.
And you'll probably get made fun of. I had so much anxiety about like, because there's a number of people that I know in like the fitness and coaching space, and they saw it. And like, I had so many worries of like, what are they going to say? What are they going to think?
Hmm.
And I'm just like, this is me. Like, this is my nerd dick out. Like,
Hmm.
laugh at it, whatever. I don't care. Like,
Yeah.
and I feel way better because, I mean, like, again, like, I'm still me.
Hmm.
I think people think I'm like weirder than I am, and maybe I am weird. And no one just like tap me on the shoulder and be like, "Paul, you're weird." Um, but I approach all the content on it as I did on my personal channel. Like, it's inspirational. It's me being goofy.
Mhm,
It's me being educational. I can just now weave it through a lens that a specific community appreciates.
mhm.
And people will come there and they're like, "What the hell is this?" And I'm like, "It's literally me saying, like, take ownership of your life, be accountable, stop playing the victim, and lead your family from the front. Here's how you can do it in a fun way."
Yeah, that's awesome. Um, yeah, I think it's all fantastic. I love it. I think it's like it's so fun. It's like a totally new layer of totally new way to think about motivation, and it's gonna resonate with. It's it's just genius. Like I can't wait to see what eventually happens with it. Like I'm gonna like
I
5 years from now, you're gonna be like super famous and be like, I had him on the podcast once. He was on the
I
podcast.
want I wish I had more bandwidth because I think this would crush in any fandom. If you did like the Game of Thrones or the Marvel
Hmm.
or the Harry Potter version of this, and it's
Yeah.
like, hey, like, the wizards are attacking Hogwarts, like, do some broom push-ups
The
and save
wizards are
them.
attacking. We have to like we have to do squats to get over the whatever. The
Yeah,
we have to do squats to go through this Grindylow field. Is it Grindylow? Is that a thing? Grindylow. I don't know.
whatever it is. But like,
Confusing
I'm just
instructions.
not. I'm also not as well versed in those.
Yeah.
So if anyone listening to this wants to go and make a Iron Man workout program, knock yourself out.
Mm.
But like at the same time too, I don't know how many people are weird enough to want to sit in a helmet for hundreds of hours and just like sweat and go through the uncomfortableness of not being able to see or breathe.
Mhm.
So I'm like, sure, like I would welcome it if other people do it. And I'll see other people tag me like doing workouts on Instagram.
Mhm.
And I think people think I work out in helmets. Like actually, like
Yeah.
I work out normal. I just do these, and for other people it might be advanced, but like for me, like dumbbell reverse lunges with
Yeah.
minimal visibility, like
Yeah.
you can do that.
Right.
It's
You could
just body
I
awareness.
here's a here's an idea for your social media. I think you should start doing a series where you go into gyms like fully dressed up and start
Yeah.
working out. That
Just
would
get
be
a
like
bunch of
that would
weird
go
looks.
that would
I
be great content. That would like that like even people who weren't interested in it would be like, dude, there's this guy walking in. He's like he's doing squats at like Gold's Gym with like a fucking helmet on. Like,
just yelling for the Republic.
yeah, that'd be awesome, dude.
I dressed up as Anakin and had like full cosplay with a lightsaber and went to QFC and was like, "Hey guys, here's how you like get your groceries. Like, here's what I'm putting in my grocery list."
Well, that's
It
a
hasn't
great
like
idea. Like,
taken off,
you
but it was
show
pro
up
fun.
to the like, that makes actually, that makes a ton of sense. Like, if you're trying to have a cleaner diet and you dress up as Anakin Skywalker and you walk through, like, what would a Jedi purchase? Would he purchase processed food? No, he wouldn't. He would go straight to the produce section. He'd have, like, he'd have fresh vegetables and he'd have only grass-fed meat and the finest eggs and,
Yeah,
like nothing that would pollute his Jedi mind. Like I think that would be like that makes total sense. I think that
yeah.
would I could see how embracing those alter egos would be helpful.
So yeah, it's all stuff I want to do. It's you realize how quickly like much time becomes an issue when you're trying to do like all the things,
Mhm.
and it is probably like 100, say like about 100 hours to do a
Mhm.
30-day challenge. And so I'm like, all right, like I could put 100, like I just told you I put 50 hours into a video game in 2 weeks,
Yeah.
so I can put that into my YouTube channel, which is honestly kind of is like a video game if you look at it
Right.
through the lens of like numbers and stats and all that stuff.
Yeah. It's tough to have that big of a to-do list though and not like want to like for me if I had that, I would like I just want to do it all and finish it. So like I think a
How do
year
you
ago or
think about content chunks on your channel? Like, do you have like, all right, this is an initiative that we're gonna make, and it's gonna ladder up into something for the community, or are you just like, yeah, people wanted a video on how to have sex, and so we're gonna do a sex video?
I like to do things in series now. So I like to make like anywhere from 3 to 6 videos, and I try to make them consistent. So like I'll try, okay, these are going to be 15-minute long. They're going to focus on this. They're going to have like, so I like to create different series of things instead of just, I used to create just sometimes like just one-offs. Like I used to just show up and I'd be like, this is what I'm feeling today, and I'll record this workout. And it was and so now what I do is I try to make series of things with consistent formats, and I try to think of who is this going to be for. So I make it for, I'll go into the video knowing this is who I'm recording this for. This is what it's going to focus on. This is what it's going to do for you. This is how it's going to be different from another workout. So I go into it now with a much clearer idea of what I want to get out of it, and what somebody else will get out of it.
Yeah. With releasing those series, are you releasing them one a day or dropping it Netflix style?
No, we release one workout per week.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's like anywhere from like 1 to 3 per week. But
This
normally
is
it's like, yeah, I'm not putting out like, yeah, no, I can't put out like one a day. That's it. That's impressive. I might have done more than that in the past, but like I can't do one a day right now.
this will probably make you like roll over in your not grave because you're not dead. But
Yeah.
when I do these 30-day challenges, I've done like a daily release and I was just like, this is way too much work. So I'll
Dude,
just
yeah.
drop 30 videos, Netflix style. And I
Oh
get
my
so
God.
many unsubscribes on the day
You dropped them
that
all on YouTube?
yeah.
Oh my God. No. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Oh, you gotta drip them, dude. You're killing yourself. I mean, you do your thing. I don't want to tell you, but like,
But like I get what I'm doing wrong.
uh,
But then the other part of like the time, which I don't even this seems so daunting, but like 30 videos, that means
mm-hmm,
30 thumbnails.
mm-hmm.
And when I'm done like filming and spending time in Final Cut Pro,
Yeah.
the last thing I want to do is thumbnails.
No, thumbnails are, and that's gonna dictate even how many people watch the video.
I know.
So like, it's so important.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So you're the second 6 months are going to be better.
Okay. Yeah. I'm curious to see how like you deal with if burnout happens, and how you know like how that evolves.
Yeah. Just with like the release schedule.
Yeah, I mean, because that's just a ton of content. It's like
Yeah.
that'd be, and you're really excited about it now. Like,
Well, I will
a
say
year
like
from
I
now,
I've
you're gonna
I've
be able to
slowed
keep doing
down.
that.
Like
Okay.
I haven't released anything in probably like a month.
Okay.
Um or probably yeah, like probably a month. But like my initial thought was like build a moat
Mm-hmm.
so that like if I was releasing like one video a week, it would take me a year to like establish like what I'm about.
Mm-hmm.
Versus if I'm like, all right, these next 6 months are gonna suck. We're gonna do 5 30-day series, but like then you have something to be like, here's what I do,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can slow down and just start to like release. That was my
We're
whole
we're
strategy.
we're gonna have a separate conversation about this, because I want to see this do as well as it possibly can for you, and
All right.
I have some I have some experience on YouTube, I would say. So I will,
Oh, a lot.
somewhat. All right. So I got to get into part two. And these are my rapid fire questions, so to speak.
Oh, good.
So, what do you think is one habit, belief, or mindset that has helped you the most in terms of your overall happiness?
Ooh, overall happiness. Um, I think the term is nihilistic. I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember in college baseball we had a what's it called, a mental performance coach, and he'd always just yell compared to what. So he'd be practicing like 6 a.m., 30 degrees, snow on the field in Pullman, Washington, and he would just be like in the dugout, like under the heater, compared to what? And we'd be like, it's not that cold, like it doesn't suck that bad, like compared to fighting a war and being like in 120-degree heat in Afghanistan, it's not that bad. And so the whole idea was just like, yeah, like what you're going through sucks, but like compared to what? Like compared to,
Mm,
not like, so like I could, and this isn't like to diminish anyone's problems or mine for that fact, but anytime I find myself getting worked up, I'm just like, dude, you make Star Wars workout videos. Like you two things you enjoy. You
mhm.
could be punching numbers or not even having a job. Like it's not that bad.
Yeah.
And so that I think that brings me back to like, yeah.
Mhm.
Like, and then I'm typically, I call myself like a black lab personality type. So
Mhm.
if I can just like pull myself back to center, I'm back black labbing around.
Gotcha. Cool. What's one thing that you do for your health that you think is overlooked or undervalued by others?
Mm, I would say in the last year, I've really cut back on alcohol. Like
Mhm.
we went on our honeymoon in July and we drank there,
Mhm.
and I got sick right after because
Mm.
my immune system was shot. And like anytime I go to a wedding,
Yeah.
I'll get sick after. But like I rarely drink, and I think it's just so overlooked on how that impacts your gut health, how that impacts
Mm.
your sleep cycles, your immune system. Not even getting into body composition
Yeah.
and like estrogen and crank it like crushing the testosterone. I think that's one where like I'll be 40 years old and people are like, "Oh, you just have good genetics." And I'll be like, "No, for the last 8 years, like I've put good things in my body."
Yeah. I agree with that. I stopped drinking. Well, I can't say I stopped drinking entirely, but like I stopped drinking more than like 2 beers at a time years ago, and now I don't even I think I've had 2 drinks in the last, like, 6 months,
Yeah, I can't
maybe.
imagine being a parent
Dude, it's exhausting.
hungover.
Yeah, oh my god, I would never do that, and even just having, like, 1 beer when you're with your kids is, like for me, it's difficult, so, like, I don't know. And, yeah, like, it doesn't have to do anything with, like, body composition, yeah, that's part of it, but, like, who cares?
It's just
Like
all tired. Like I get, if I have one beer, I will be so tired the next day.
mhm,
And
yeah,
then that's where my brain will go like, "Well, like if I'm tired and I need to like work on a project, this decision I'm making Friday night is going to impact me Monday."
mhm,
And so then that's where I kind of I boil it down to like if I'm on vacation and the only thing I need to optimize for is like the angle of my beach chair, like sure, like
yeah,
I'll knock myself out.
yeah, yeah. I think it could be good. Yeah, like, there's some reasons why you would wanna do it, but if it's like yeah, but I think for the most part, there aren't good reasons. So, what's the most important activity you regularly do for your overall stress management?
It's gonna sound lame, but walking.
No, I mean, it is lame and it's also amazing. Like,
Yeah.
walking is I've been doing a lot of reading on longevity recently, and, like, walking is, like, the number 1 thing that you can do
I wish
physically.
I had an answer like steamroll my hair with bamboo twigs, but like I just walk and listen to like podcasts or Star Wars books,
Mhm.
and it's a nice hour to myself.
Yeah, totally. What's the most stressful part of your day-to-day life?
Whew. It's not like a specific part, but it's just like trying to drink from the fire hose.
Okay.
I'll have to talk with my wife probably weekly where I'm just like, I'm trying to do this and this and this and this. And then I'll hear myself say that. And I'm like, dude, you're doing fine. Like,
Mhm.
you don't need to do that. And
Yeah.
so, like, an example could be like, I'll like look at my Instagram and I'm like, oh, I haven't posted in 2 days.
Mm,
And I'm like, but I need to send this email to my list. And I'm like, but I have client check ins I got to do. And I'm just like, don't post on Instagram. No one cares.
yeah.
Or this is one I've actually been doing. I love doing. I'll just repost stuff from 3 months ago because I got 10,000 new people who haven't seen it,
It
and
works.
most people didn't see it the first time anyway. And guess what? If they enjoyed it, they'll enjoy it again. Like
Yep.
that's what movies do. Like people rewatch a movie or a
Mhm.
show. Like how many times have people rewatched The Office? Can you
Yeah.
imagine if The Office was like, guys, we need to make 5 more seasons? Like they've already gone through it. They're like, just post it again.
Right. Reruns. Um, What do you think is the biggest challenge facing men and their well-being today?
Phew. Like it's so broad, but I just think ego
Hmm.
and like more specifically the belief that they don't need to change anything or nothing's their fault. Like my wife and we call it like TikTok therapy, where
Mhm.
like she'll send me a video of something that she likes that's like about like marriage or dating or whatever, and like how to like date your wife, and then I'll send her something and I'm like, hey, see, like nagging's bad. And so it's like us
Oh, good. That
sharing
sounds
things.
that sounds like a great passive aggressive exchange. That's
Yeah.
really helping a lot of stuff.
And so the algorithm is a lot of just like men don't do this, women don't do this.
Mhm.
And I'm just like, it's everyone's fault, and no one wants to say it's my fault. They wanna put blame on everyone else, and
Mm,
so it's like, it's their wife's fault that the marriage didn't work. It's their kid's fault that they don't have time to work out. It's their genetics fault or parents' fault that they don't have, the life that they need. It's the government's fault that they don't have X, Y, and Z. It's their
mhm.
boss's fault why they're not getting a raise, and it's just
Yeah.
like, everything is your fault.
Mm, yeah. So not having the humility to take accountability.
Yeah, exactly,
Mhm.
and it's again, it's like the defensiveness and the ego to be like, "I'm not doing anything wrong. It's all them."
Yeah.
Um, and I say that as like that's something I need to work on.
Yeah.
And so I think just the we've talked a lot about like what would Jesus do or what would whatever do? Like
Mhm.
even just having the thought like before any conversation or in any argument, like what am I messing up on?
Mhm.
Like what am I missing?
Yeah.
'Cause it's very rare that you're perfect, and even if you are perfect, like, how can you be more empathetic
Mhm.
or see it from someone else's side?
Yeah. I find in those situations, like, the easiest thing to do to one is realize, like, you're just gonna be mad and angry, and all of your feelings for the next 5 minutes are just garbage, and to disregard them.
Yeah.
Like, that's one thing I learned that I was like, "That makes a lot of sense." And then if you can try to put yourself in the other person's position and, like, think from their perspective instead and think, "Oh, wow, I bet this would really hurt if like, that was me in that situation. Here's why I would be upset about it." Because like, there's no point in saying how you at least for me, there it doesn't seem like there's much point in saying, like, "This is how I feel," because like, I think the other person already knows how you feel.
Yeah, and you're totally right in that, like, us sending stuff is passive aggressive, but I have seen stuff where it then makes me realize, and I try and just be aware, like, "Oh, wow," like, when she's responding in this way, she's actually saying something else,
Mhm.
and so, like, when I'm in like when I'm like slowed down and can be mindful, I'll ask myself while she's upset, like, what is she really saying?
Mhm.
Right. So she could be like, you didn't lock the door. You hate the do you hate the family and all this? And it's like she's really just saying, like, hey, I want to be safe.
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I had this one exchange with my therapist when I was mad about like my wife not being explicit about something, and I was saying, "Ah, stupid woman nonsense." And then he was like, "Well, the Japanese have this culture where they don't say no, they say that would be difficult, and so you could say, oh, that's stupid Japanese culture, or you could say like, oh, this is what she's really saying, and it's my responsibility to understand when that's happening and
Hmm.
to be more, aware of it." So that makes sense to me. All right. This is a great conversation. I'm gonna wrap it up. Where can people follow you and all the cool stuff that you're doing, Paul?
Yeah. I'm just active on the Trooper Transmission. So the Trooper Transmission Instagram, the Trooper Transmission YouTube channel. Um,
Can I hire you to show up at our kid's birthday party?
oh yeah,
Okay, cool.
I've got 7 helmets and an Obi-Wan Kenobi and an Anakin cosplay. I dressed up as Anakin for Halloween and
Hmm.
pretend to, like, take out the younglings, and, it
Oh,
saved a lot hardly gave away any candy.
nice. I didn't get to scare any kids this year. because yeah, I was with our 6-month-old, and my plan was to have a leaf blower inside and then like pretend to be handing them canning and instead like blow them with a leaf blower to really freak them out. Yeah, didn't get to do that. Next year.
Yeah, next year.
So
But yeah, Trooper Transmission, and then my name. If you're like, I just remember this Trooper Transmission guy is Paul Clingan.
mhm.
I'm sure that'll be what's actually in the podcast. If you
Yeah,
want to call me by my what is it? My alter ego.
I
It's
thought you were
CT.
going to give out your phone number. I was like, hold on a minute.
Yeah, no, my
You want to
my
call
my
me?
call my designation when I am the trooper is CT 3939, which is just my college baseball number repeated twice.
Hmm.
So I'll sometimes in emails be like Paul CT 3939 Klingon,
Hmm.
and so they know like that's my Spider Man.
Awesome. Cool. All right. Well, Paul, thanks for joining me for the conversation. This was awesome. I think we touched on a lot of great topics, and I'm looking forward to seeing how Trooper Transition grows for you over the next few months, and we'll stay in contact. So, yeah,
Definitely all the YouTube stuff.
cool. All right, guys. Thanks for listening to this episode, and I hope you join me on the next episode of the Better Man Podcast.
If you like that episode, check out this other one right here. I think you're really going to enjoy it. If you haven't subscribed, click this subscribe button over here, and you can listen to the full episodes on any major podcasting platform. Full details below in the description.